grandma, and so I got to learn and love that place as well. First of all, secondary to here, but after getting married, first of all, and now having a 9-month-old baby, we have made the decision that we want a different quality of life, something a little more slow-paced, a little more laid back, something with the school system that he can grow up in, and the morals and such, just are more of a country atmosphere rather than a city urban atmosphere. My wife and I are also just tired of the traffic, which is interesting because of all these traffic signals and all that, which is a hobby. We both grow weary of the congestion and the crime and just the big city type woes. So we're ready for a change, and that's the big reason. Also, my father and mother are going to be moving back there as well next year. So we'll have more family back there as well. So we really don't have many friends or family here much anymore. My wife is originally from Fresno, so she already made the move when we were married. So so from there, it's not as hard a transition from her to go from here to Iowa. And I proposed to her in Iowa, in Pella, Iowa. So we both have a little bit of a seed planted there as it was. So that's the main reason.
So what about the museum?
Well, when I make the move to Iowa, the plans are, we have, like I had mentioned earlier, we have already purchased a house there, which has a nice sized basement. My plans for that is to make basically a museum out of the basement. There's already installed lighting in there, which is nice track lighting and cove lighting. So I'll be able to put my older pieces in there. I'm planning to put kind of an evolution of the traffic signal in there with some of the pieces I have, some of the old controllers, things like that. Unfortunately, the house that we're going, well, I mean, unfortunately, Iowa in general, it gets very cold in the wintertime and snowy, and so it doesn't lend itself as well to having a garden. We're also living in a suburban neighborhood as well that it doesn't lend itself to having a lot of signals out in the yard, maybe a couple of pieces. But my hopes one day is to get a building rented that I can build everything back up again and then maybe open the Museum of Traffic Control there. But presently, when it's in the basement, it may be just by certain individuals only, by email and things like that, but not widely open to the public.
As the time comes to make his cross-country move, Signalfan dismantles everything in the garden and his workshop. The mountain of signals, signs, and hardware is staggering. Overall, the task of disassembling takes over 2 weeks, with John and club member Crusher working daily to make it happen. Items such as the Wiley signal head and the Pella, Iowa signal will be driven across the country by Signalfan himself.
Installation of the first traffic light in Pella, Iowa. This little clipping here shows two guys putting the signal up. It was January 26, 1950, and another street shot at 1950 showing the signals up. And I happen to have one of these end units here on the signal right here in my collection. And it's right up here. It had been repainted yellow. In the 60s, everything seemed to go to yellow in the Midwest, so it got repainted from its original green.
And it was like original olive green,
yes, right? Yeah, it was originally an olive green. And it's seen quite a few hard years. By opening it up, you'll see quite a bit of the corrosion of many a hard winter in here. And you can see the original green color kind of in there as well. But it's an oldie but a goodie.
But this is one of the signals that connects you with where you're going,
yes.
Iowa.
Yep. Yeah. It'll be going back home in a sense.
Well, it's like I know at least one signal that's going up in the basement.
Yep.
The rest will be handled by professional movers. Signalfan checked in and told us that the moving company weighed the load and found it to be a staggering 29,000 pounds.
And that concludes our look at the Museum of Traffic Control in Fullerton, California, and it also concludes our look at motoring history around the nation and in Los Angeles in particular. Looking over my shoulder, you see this traffic signal, and if you were guessing, yes it is. It is mine, and I did get it from John's collection just before he left for Iowa. It's a nice piece to start off with, and since that time I've collected many other pieces, not just traffic signals, and since that time I've collected many other items, including one of my first loves, antique fire alarm equipment, which includes game wells and keystones. Everything collected legally and above board. And that's it for all of us here at Newswire LA. We thank you for joining us. To follow everything Newswire LA, look us up on Facebook and Twitter at Newswire LA. I'm Chen Thomasanksi, your host, saying so long, and we'll see you back here next time. Stay tuned for more news on this Westlake Signal station. And now, a Newswire LA editorial. The Los Angeles Police Department is considering changes in its 30-day hold policy that would allow unlicensed drivers pulled over during traffic stops to keep their cars, providing they can find another licensed driver to take custody of those vehicles. Newswire LA opposes any change, citing a threat to public safety. In fact, of the 40,000 crashes in the U.S. last year, 20% involved a driver without a valid license. Additionally, studies show that unlicensed drivers are 5 times more likely to be involved in accidents. Some cite the financial burden that the impound of an automobile can cause to those apprehended. We contend that the injuries and deaths caused by some of these individuals far outweigh any inconvenience an impound might incur. Driving in California and many other places is a privilege. The majority of drivers register their cars every year, pay for insurance, and abide by the law. That's because we know there will be sanctions for anything less. Unlicensed drivers, all unlicensed drivers, must be sanctioned for their failure to follow the law. We agree with the Los Angeles Police Protective Union, Councilman Mitch Englander, and others that this proposed change in policy is misguided and flat out wrong. We also agree that the state legislature's similar recent change in the law regarding unlicensed sober drivers at sobriety checkpoints is also flat out wrong as well. In recent days, the LAPD has stepped back from its original position and is now endorsing a change that would leave this one-call option open only to first-time offenders. All others with convictions and/or DMV violations would be impounded. The LAPD's change in position appears to be in some part the result of strong public opposition. Newswire LA recommends that the public continues to apply pressure until this change is abandoned in its entirety. Again, it's an issue of public safety, and that issue should trump all others, especially issues of a political nature. I'm Chen Thomasanksi, and Newswire LA appreciates your comments. You can post written comments or a rebuttal video on our Newswire LA Facebook page. The best of those could be used in a future broadcast or rebuttal segment. You can also send us comments via our email system. Use this address, newswirela@gmail.com. Comments and videos must adhere to general broadcast standards for content and language. Newswire LA reserves the right to remove content that does not adhere to these standards. Thank you for joining us, and this concludes our broadcast day.